The ship landed with a soft hum on the metal platform. Yuna waited inside until the doors opened with a hiss of released air. She stepped out slowly, her worn travel bag hanging from her shoulder. The air smelled different here. Clean. Too clean. Like nothing living had ever touched it. The Galactic registration hall stretched before her like a small city made of light and glass. Thousands of beings moved through the massive space. Some walked on two legs like her. Others floated. Some crawled on many limbs. Colors she had never seen before filled her eyes. Sounds she could not understand echoed all around her. Yuna took a deep breath and started walking. She had spent 3 months on different ships to reach this place. The Coalition hub was the center of everything: trade, politics, jobs. If you wanted to exist in the known galaxy, you needed to register here first. Without registration, you were nothing. Less than nothing. You were illegal. The floor beneath her feet was smooth and cold. Her simple boots made soft sounds as she walked. Around her, aliens of every shape and size moved with purpose. Many wore expensive clothes that shimmered and changed color. Some had servants following them. Others traveled in groups, laughing in languages she did not know. Nobody looked at her twice. She was just another face in the crowd, another body moving through the system. That was fine with Yuna. She did not want attention. She just wanted to register, find honest work, and build a quiet life far from Earth. Earth. The thought of her home planet brought a small ache to her chest. She had left behind everything she knew: her small farm, the village where she grew up. The graves of her parents on the hill behind their house. All of it was now light years away, but there was nothing left for her there. The farm had failed after the drought. The village had emptied as young people left for the cities. She was alone, and she was tired of being alone in a dying place. So she sold everything and bought a ticket to the stars. The registration area appeared ahead. A large open space with dozens of platforms arranged in neat rows. Above each platform, holographic signs displayed different species names and categories. Yuna searched for her destination. There. A small sign that read, "New Species, Unclassified, Other." She walked toward it. The line was short. Only 3 beings stood ahead of her. One looked like a tall bird with golden feathers. Another resembled a walking plant with leaves instead of hair. The third was small and round, rolling slowly forward on what might have been feet or wheels. Yuna waited patiently. She was good at waiting. Farm life had taught her that. You planted seeds and waited. You watched the sky and waited. You hoped for rain and waited. Patience was not a choice on Earth. It was survival. When her turn came, she stepped onto the scanning platform. Blue light washed over her body from head to toe. It felt warm, like standing in sunlight. The machine hummed and clicked as it worked. Then a cold voice spoke from everywhere at once. "Species identified." Yuna stood still. "Classification: Earthborn." Murmurs rose from somewhere behind her. She did not turn to look. "Threat level: pending analysis." The murmurs grew louder. Yuna heard words she did not understand, but the tone was clear. Surprise, confusion, some amusement. She stepped off the platform and waited for her documents. A large alien moved toward her. He stood nearly 3 meters tall, with gray skin like stone, and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his face. He wore the uniform of a security officer. His name tag read, Officer Goran. "Earthborn," he said slowly, as if tasting the word. "We do not see many of your kind here." "I am the first from my village," Yuna replied simply. Officer Goran made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Your village, yes. I have read about Earth. Small planet, primitive technology. Your people only recently discovered space travel." Yuna did not argue. Everything he said was true. "Why are you here?" he asked. "To register. To find work." "Work?" Another laugh. What work can an Earthborn do? Your kind is fragile, weak. The reports say your bones break easily, your skin tears. You cannot breathe in most atmospheres. Yuna kept her face calm. I am stronger than I look. Everyone says that. More aliens had gathered now. They formed a loose circle around the registration area, watching the exchange with curious eyes. Most of them had never seen an Earthborn in person before. Humans were rare this far from their home system. They were considered a minor species. Unimportant. Forgettable. A second figure pushed through the crowd. This one was different. He was slightly shorter than Officer Goran, but twice as wide. His body was covered in dark green scales that caught the light like armor. His face was flat, with a wide mouth full of sharp teeth. His eyes were yellow with black slits for pupils. "What is this?" he demanded. His voice was deep and rough, like stones grinding together. "A new arrival," Officer Goran explained. "An Earthborn." The scaled alien looked at Yuna with open disgust. "Earthborn? From that quarantined rock?" He stepped closer, and Yuna could smell something sharp and unpleasant coming from his skin. "I thought we stopped letting vermin into the hub." Officer Goran shifted uncomfortably. "She has proper documentation. The regulations say—" "I know what the regulations say." The scaled alien waved a clawed hand dismissively. "I am Borak. I have killed more species than you have met, little officer. Do not lecture me about regulations." Yuna watched this exchange without moving. She had met men like Borak before, not on other planets, but on Earth. Bullies existed everywhere. They wore different faces, spoke different languages, but they were all the same inside. Hungry for power, afraid of anything different. Borak turned his attention back to her. "You, Earthborn. What is your name?" "Yuna! Yuna!" He repeated it mockingly. "Such a soft name for such a soft creature." He circled her slowly, examining her like a farmer examining livestock. "Small, thin, no claws, no scales, no armor of any kind. How did your species survive long enough to reach the stars?" Yuna met his gaze steadily. "We adapted." Borak stopped circling. Something flickered in his yellow eyes. Surprise, perhaps. He was not used to prey. That looked back at him without fear. "Adapted," he repeated. "Is that what you call it?" A young alien stepped forward from the crowd. He was tall and thin, with pale blue skin and large dark eyes. Unlike Borak, his face held no hostility, only curiosity. "Leave her alone, Borak," he said quietly. "She has done nothing wrong." Borak turned his massive head. "Tai-Ho, the soft-hearted one, why do you care about this creature?" "I care about fairness," Tai-Ho replied. "She came here legally. She has the right to register." "Rights." Borak spat the word like poison. "Rights are for the strong. The weak have only what the strong allow them to have." He turned back to Yuna. His eyes narrowed. His claws flexed at his sides. "Remember that, Earthborn. Remember who owns this station. Remember who decides whether you live or die." He leaned close, his breath hot against her face. "And remember that I am watching you." Then he turned and walked away, the crowd parting before him like water before a ship. Yuna released a breath she did not know she had been holding. Tai-Ho approached her carefully, as if she might break. "Are you all right?" "Yes." "Borak is dangerous. He has powerful friends. Many people fear him." "I noticed." Tai-Ho studied her face with those large, curious eyes. "You did not seem afraid?" Yuna picked up her travel bag from where she had set it down. The registration terminal beeped, and a small card emerged from a slot. Her identification, her proof of existence in this new world. She took it and slipped it into her pocket. "Fear does not help," she said simply. "It only makes things harder." Tai-Ho tilted his head, considering her words. "You are strange for an Earthborn." Maybe, Yuna admitted. Or maybe you have just never met one before. She turned and walked toward the exit, leaving Taiho and the watching crowd behind her. The Galactic registration hall stretched endlessly ahead. Somewhere in this maze of light and glass, there was a place for her. A job, a home, a new beginning. She just had to find it, and she had to survive long enough to enjoy it. 3 days passed on the Coalition hub. Yuna found a small room in the lower districts where the rent was cheap and the questions were few. The room had a bed, a small table, and a window that looked out at pipes and machinery. It was not beautiful, but it was hers. During the days, she walked through the station looking for work. The hub was massive. It would take months to explore every section. Markets sold goods from 1,000 worlds. Restaurants offered food she could not name. Factories hummed with activity at all hours. But everywhere she went, the answer was the same. Sorry, we do not hire Earthborn. Your species is too fragile for this work. Come back when you have experience in low-gravity environments. We cannot afford the insurance. Yuna did not argue. She simply nodded, thanked them for their time, and moved on to the next place. On the third evening, she sat in a small food hall eating a bowl of something that tasted like rice but was purple. Around her, workers from different species ate and talked and laughed. They had jobs, they had purpose, they belonged. Yuna ate in silence. A shadow fell across her table. She looked up and found Taiho standing there with a tray of food. His pale blue skin looked almost silver under the artificial lights. "May I sit?" he asked. Yuna gestured to the empty seat across from her. "Please." Taiho sat down carefully, arranging his tray with precise movements. "I have been looking for you," he admitted. "I wanted to make sure Borak had not caused you trouble. I have not seen him since the registration hall." "Good." Taiho picked up something that looked like a small fruit and bit into it. "He is not someone you want to see often. He has a temper, a bad one." "I noticed." "He is also a warrior," Taiho continued, "from the Drakon species. They are known for their strength and their violence. They conquered 3 star systems before the Coalition stopped them. Now they serve as mercenaries and enforcers." Yuna absorbed this information quietly. "And you? What species are you?" "Velen. We are scholars and traders, mostly, not fighters." He smiled, showing small, flat teeth. "Very different from the Drakon. Yet you spoke against Borak in the registration hall." Taiho's smile faded slightly. "Someone had to. It was not right, the way he treated you. That was brave. Or foolish." Taiho shrugged. "My father would say foolish. He tells me I care too much about things that are not my concern. Caring is not foolish." Taiho looked at her with renewed interest. "You really are strange for an Earthborn." "So you keep saying." They ate in comfortable silence for a while. Around them, the food hall buzzed with conversation. Languages Yuna did not understand mixed together into a kind of music. "Have you found work?" Taiho asked eventually. "Not yet." "No one wants to hire an Earthborn?" "That is unfortunate, but not surprising." Taiho set down his eating utensil. "Most species here know very little about Earth. They only know the basic data. Small planet, young species, primitive technology. They assume this means your kind is weak and useless. We are not weak." Taiho raised a hand. "I believe you. But belief does not change perception. The galaxy has decided what Earthborn are. Changing that will take time. And proof." Yuna finished the last of her purple rice. "Then I will provide proof." Before Taiho could respond, a commotion erupted near the food hall entrance. People were moving back, clearing a path. Loud voices echoed off the metal walls. Borak entered the hall like a storm. He was not alone. 4 other Drakon followed him. They were smaller than Borak, but still massive. Their scales were different colors, green and brown and black, but their eyes were all the same. Cold, hungry, looking for trouble. Borak scanned the room. His gaze swept across dozens of faces until it found what it was looking for. Yuna. "There she is," Borak said loudly. "The Earthborn who thinks she belongs among us." The food hall fell silent. Everyone stopped eating. Everyone stopped talking. All eyes turned to watch. Taiho leaned forward urgently. "We should leave. Now. There is a back exit." "No." "Yuna, please. You do not understand what he is capable of. Running will not help." Yuna stood slowly, facing Borak as he approached. "It will only delay the problem." Borak stopped a few meters away. His 4 companions spread out behind him, blocking any escape. The message was clear. This would happen whether she wanted it to or not. 3 days, Borak said. "You have been on this station for 3 days, breathing our air, eating our food, taking up space that belongs to better species." He stepped closer. "I have been patient, too patient, but my patience has limits." "I have done nothing to you," Yuna said calmly. "Your existence offends me." Borak's claws extended, each one as long as Yuna's finger and sharp as a knife. "Your weakness offends me. The fact that the Coalition lets creatures like you walk among us offends me." Taiho stepped forward. "Borak, this is not necessary. She is just one person. She is not hurting anyone." "Quiet, Velan." Borak did not even look at him. "This is between me and the Earthborn." Yuna remained still. Her hands hung loose at her sides. Her breathing stayed steady. "What do you want?" she asked. Borak smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. Too many teeth. Too much hunger. "I want you to leave. Go back to your miserable planet. Tell your species to stay there. The galaxy does not want you." "And if I refuse?" The smile widened. "Then I will make an example of you. A message to any other Earthborn who thinks they can walk among the stars." He reached for his belt and drew a blade. It was long and curved, made of some dark metal that seemed to absorb the light around it. Ancient symbols were carved into the flat of the blade. This was not just a weapon. It was an artifact, something old and precious and deadly. Gasps rippled through the watching crowd. "That is his ceremonial blade," Taiho whispered in horror. "He only draws it when he intends to kill." Yuna looked at the blade. It was beautiful in a terrible way. She could see the edge was sharp enough to cut air. "Is this legal?" she asked quietly. "Challenge combat is legal on the hub," Taiho said miserably, "if both parties agree, and if you refuse, it is seen as admitting you are lower, worthless. No one will hire you. No one will help you. You will be forced to leave anyway." A clever system. An old one. From before the Coalition. The Draken wrote many of these laws. Borak held the blade high so everyone could see it. "Well, Earthborn, do you accept my challenge? Or do you run like the coward your species is?" Silence pressed down on the food hall like a physical weight. Yuna thought about her options. She could refuse and spend the rest of her life marked as a coward. She could accept and face a warrior who had killed countless beings across multiple star systems. Or she could show them who the Earthborn really were. "I accept." The words came out calm and clear. They cut through the silence like a blade of their own. Borak's eyes widened slightly. He had expected fear. He had expected begging. He had expected anything except simple acceptance. "You accept?" he repeated. "Yes." Yuna began rolling up the sleeves of her simple shirt. "Name the time and place." Borak recovered quickly. His surprise turned back to cruel amusement. "Here, now. Why wait?" "Fine." The crowd pulled back further, creating a circle of empty space in the center of the food hall. This had become something bigger than a simple confrontation. This was entertainment, a story they would tell for years. The Draken warrior against the Earthborn farmer. The outcome seemed obvious to everyone watching. Everyone except Yuna. She stood in the circle without weapons, without armor, without anything except her worn clothes and her steady hands. Borak twirled his blade experimentally. The dark metal sang as it cut through the air. Any last words, Earthborn? Yuna considered the question seriously. She thought about Earth, about her village, about her parents and their farm and the life she had left behind. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, to this moment, facing death in a food hall light years from home. "No," she said finally, "I have no last words, because this is not the end." Borak laughed. The sound echoed off the walls and ceiling. "Your bravery is impressive," he admitted. "Foolish and pointless, but impressive. I will make your death quick. Consider it a gift." He raised the blade. Tejo covered his eyes. The crowd held its breath, and Yuna waited. The blade came down like lightning. Borak was fast, faster than anything his size should be. The dark metal cut through the air with a sound like tearing silk. It was a killing blow. A strike meant to split Yuna from shoulder to hip. A strike that had ended hundreds of lives before. Yuna moved. Her hand came up, not in a fist, not in a block, just two fingers. Her index finger and her middle finger pressed together and raised to meet the blade. Metal met flesh and stopped. The blade froze in midair, trapped between Yuna's two fingers like a leaf caught between stones. Silence. Complete and total silence. Borak's yellow eyes went wide. His arms shook as he tried to pull the blade free. His muscles bulged. His scales rippled with effort. But the blade did not move, not even a little bit. "What?" he breathed. Yuna looked at him with calm, steady eyes. "Is something wrong?" Borak pulled harder. He twisted. He used both hands. He threw his entire body weight backward. Nothing worked. The blade remained frozen between her two fingers. A crack appeared on the dark metal. Then another. The ancient blade, forged in the fires of the Drakon homeworld, passed down through generations of warriors, began to break. Hairline fractures spread across its surface like frost on a window. Yuna released her grip. Borak stumbled backward, barely keeping his feet. He stared at his blade with horror. The fractures covered nearly the entire length. One more blow and it would shatter completely. "Impossible," he whispered. "This is impossible." The crowd remained frozen. No one spoke. No one moved. No one even seemed to breathe. Then the registration system above the food hall flickered to life. Holographic displays that normally showed advertisements and announcements suddenly changed. New information filled the screens. Data about Yuna. Data about Earth. Data that made the entire room gasp. "Threat level updated," the cold mechanical voice announced. "Previous classification, unknown. New classification, extreme." Words scrolled across the screens. "Warning, Earthborn species originates from Deathworld designated Sol 3. Planetary conditions include gravitational pull of 9.8 meters per second squared. Atmospheric composition contains toxic levels of oxygen. Surface covered in extreme temperature zones, radiation exposure areas, and apex predators." Murmurs began rippling through the crowd. "Native species has adapted to constant gravitational resistance. Bone density measured at 400% galactic average. Muscle fiber concentration exceeds classification parameters. Reflex speed and endurance capabilities unclassified due to insufficient data." Borak's face twisted in confusion and growing fear. "What does this mean?" More data appeared. "Earth gravity comparison. Standard hub gravity is 0.3 meters per second squared. Earth gravity is 32 times stronger than hub standard. All Earthborn species experience significantly enhanced strength in low-gravity environments. Taiho lowered his hands from his eyes. His mouth hung open. She is like a superhuman here. Additional warning, the system continued. Earthborn species has survived planetary conditions classified as lethal by coalition standards. Natural predators, extreme weather, toxic atmosphere, high radiation. Despite these conditions, species not only survived but achieved technological civilization and space travel. One of Borak's companions stepped forward. His brown scales were pale with shock. Borak. The data says their planet should have killed them. Every scientific model says no intelligent life should exist there. But they do exist, another Dracon said quietly. They evolved there. They lived there. They thrived there. The full weight of this information began to settle over the crowd. Earth was not a peaceful planet that produced weak creatures. Earth was a death world. A place so dangerous, so hostile, that survival there required extraordinary adaptation. And the beings who survived it, who conquered it, who built civilizations on its surface, they were not weak at all. They were the opposite of weak. Borak looked at Yuna with new eyes. She had not moved from her position. Her 2 fingers remained slightly raised as if ready to catch another blade. Her expression was still calm, still patient, as if stopping his killing blow had been no more difficult than catching a falling leaf. "What are you?" he demanded. Yuna considered the question. "I told you. I am a farmer. A farmer cannot do what you just did." "On Earth, farmers work the land," Yuna said simply. "We carry heavy loads. We walk for hours under the sun. We fight the soil and the weather and the pests. We do this every day, from childhood until death. It is not special. It is just life." "Just life," Borak repeated. "Yes." Taiho stepped into the circle. His legs were shaking, but his voice was steady. "The data makes sense now. If their planet has such strong gravity, then their bodies must be incredibly dense, incredibly strong, just to survive, just to move." "But she looks so—" One of the crowd members struggled for words. "So small, so fragile." "Looks can be wrong," Taiho said. "We assumed Earthborn were weak because they look soft, because they do not have claws or scales or armor. But their strength is inside, in their bones, in their muscles, in every part of them." Yuna nodded slightly. "We did not know our planet was unusual. We thought all worlds were like Earth. We thought all species struggled the way we struggled. When we reached the stars and learned the truth—" She paused. "We were surprised." "Surprised?" Borak's voice cracked. "Yes. We did not understand why everything felt so light, why we could move so easily, why we did not get tired." Yuna looked at her own hands, turning them slowly. "We are still learning what we can do." The implications of this statement hung in the air like smoke. If a simple farmer from Earth could stop a Dracon blade with 2 fingers, what could an Earth soldier do? An Earth athlete? An Earth warrior? What kind of power were the Earthborn hiding behind their soft skin and small bodies? Borak's blade clattered to the floor. His hands were shaking too much to hold it. "This changes everything," he said hoarsely. "No," Yuna replied. "It changes nothing. I am still the same person I was 5 minutes ago. The same person I was when I landed on this station. You are the one who decided I was weak without knowing anything about me." She stepped forward. Borak flinched backward. Yuna stopped and looked at him with something that might have been pity. "I did not come here to fight. I came here to work, to live, to find a place in the galaxy. I do not want enemies. I do not want conflict. I just want a chance." Borak said nothing. His whole body was trembling. "Can you give me that chance?" Yuna asked quietly. "Or do we need to continue?" The food hall held its breath. For a long moment, Borak stood frozen. His pride warred with his fear. His anger warred with his shock. 1,000 thoughts crossed his reptilian face. Then slowly, he sank to his knees. "Forgive me," he said. The words sounded torn from his throat. "I did not understand. I was wrong." The watching crowd made sounds of disbelief. A Draken warrior on his knees, asking forgiveness from an Earthborn. It was something none of them had ever seen, something they had never imagined possible. Yuna looked down at the kneeling warrior. She remembered all the times in her life when someone had looked down at her, when someone had decided she was less, worth less, deserving less. She remembered how it felt. "Stand up," she said gently. "There is nothing to forgive." Borak looked up at her. His yellow eyes were wet. "How can you say that? I threatened to kill you. I would have killed you." "But you did not. And now you understand something you did not understand before." Yuna offered him her hand. "That is not something to be ashamed of. That is growth." Slowly, hesitantly, Borak took her hand. Yuna pulled him to his feet with no effort at all. The movement was smooth and easy, as if he weighed nothing, because to her, in this low gravity, he almost did weigh nothing. The crowd began to murmur again, but the tone was different now, not fearful, not mocking, something else, something like respect. Taiho stepped forward. His face was bright with wonder. "You really are something special, Yuna." "No," she said. "I am just an Earthborn. There are billions more like me." The thought sent another ripple through the crowd. Billions, billions of beings like her, billions of beings from that impossible death world, each one carrying the same hidden strength, the same impossible power. The galaxy had just become a very different place, and somewhere in the back of the food hall, a security camera recorded everything that had happened. The footage would be analyzed, reports would be written, and soon, very soon, the people who controlled the coalition would want to know more about the Earthborn. Much more. The alarms started within an hour. Yuna was still in the food hall, surrounded by a growing crowd of curious aliens, when red lights began flashing along the ceiling. A sharp sound cut through the air, and suddenly armed guards appeared at every entrance. The crowd scattered. Those who had been pressing close to Yuna moments before now pulled back, their earlier fascination replaced by fear. No one wanted to be caught in whatever was happening. Taiho grabbed Yuna's arm. "We need to go. When coalition security responds like this, it is never good. I have done nothing wrong." "That may not matter." Before they could move, a hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. A woman appeared. She was tall and stern, with silver hair pulled back tightly and eyes that seemed to see everything at once. Her uniform bore symbols of high rank, symbols that made even the guards stand straighter. "Everyone remain calm," she said. Her voice was cool and controlled. "There is no emergency. I am Director Hana of Coalition Security. I wish to speak with the Earthborn." The guards parted, creating a clear path between the hologram and Yuna. "Come forward, please," Director Hana said. Taiho squeezed Yuna's arm. "Be careful." Yuna nodded and stepped forward. She walked through the silent crowd until she stood before the hologram. Up close, she could see the fine details of Director Hana's face, the small lines around her eyes, the gray streaks in her silver hair, the weight of responsibility in her expression. "You are Yuna," Director Hana said. It was not a question. "Yes. I have watched the recording of what happened here, several times." The director's eyes narrowed slightly. "You stopped a Dracon ceremonial blade with 2 fingers." "Yes. That blade was made from compressed dark matter alloy. It can cut through starship hulls. No known species should be able to stop it with bare hands." Director Hana paused. "Certainly not with 2 fingers." Yuna said nothing. There was nothing to say. I have ordered a full review of all data concerning your species, the director continued. What we have found is troubling. Earth was classified as a Type C planet 2 centuries ago, when our scouts first observed it from orbit. Gravity too high, atmosphere too harsh, radiation levels too dangerous. Our scientists concluded that complex life could not develop there, that any species attempting to evolve on such a world would be crushed, poisoned, or burned long before achieving intelligence. Director Hana's hologram flickered slightly. We were wrong. Yuna felt the weight of hundreds of eyes on her back. The crowd was listening to every word, recording it with their devices, sharing it across the station's networks. Your species should not exist, Director Hana said flatly. By every model we have, Earth should have produced nothing more complex than bacteria. Instead, it produced you. Beings who can survive conditions that would kill most galactic species in minutes. Beings who consider a death world their home. We did not know it was a death world, Yuna replied quietly. To us, it was just home. Yes, that is perhaps the most troubling part. The director leaned forward slightly. You are adapted to hell. You evolved in an environment so hostile that survival required extraordinary capabilities. And you do not even realize how extraordinary those capabilities are. A murmur ran through the crowd. Director Hana straightened. I have some questions for you, Yuna. Answer them honestly. I will. What was your occupation on Earth? Farmer. I grew rice and vegetables on a small piece of land. A farmer. The director processed this. How many hours did you work each day? During planting and harvest, maybe 14 or 15 hours. During the slow season, maybe 8 or 10. And this was considered normal? Typical for your species? Yes, some people worked more. Another murmur. Director Hana's expression tightened. Did you receive special training, military service, combat education? No, I attended school until I was 15. Then I worked the farm with my parents. So you are, by your species' standards, an ordinary person. Yuna considered this. I suppose so. Yes. The food hall fell completely silent. Director Hana spoke slowly, choosing each word with care. An ordinary person from your species just stopped a blow that would have destroyed a combat drone. An ordinary person shattered a blade that has been in the Dracon royal family for 3,000 years. An ordinary person stands here now, breathing air that would be considered thin by your planet's standards, moving in gravity that would feel like floating to you. She paused. What would an extraordinary person from your species be capable of? Yuna thought about this question seriously. She thought about the athletes she had seen on television, running and jumping and lifting weights that seemed impossible. She thought about the soldiers, trained from youth to fight and survive in any condition. She thought about the scientists and engineers, building machines that bent the laws of nature. I do not know, she admitted. I was not extraordinary on Earth. I was just a farmer who ran out of options. Director Hana studied her for a long moment. Then she nodded as if coming to a decision. I am going to share some classified information with you, Yuna. Consider it a gesture of trust. The hologram shifted. Director Hana's image shrank to one corner while new data filled the rest of the space. Maps, charts, numbers that Yuna could not understand. This is the current strategic situation of the coalition, Director Hana explained. For the past 50 years, we have been in a cold war with the Dominion. They control the outer sectors. We control the inner sectors. Neither side has the strength to defeat the other, so we maintain an uneasy peace. The maps showed two territories, one marked in blue and one in red, pressing against each other across a vast border. But the balance is shifting. The Dominion has been building new weapons, new ships, new soldiers. Our analysts believe they will have sufficient force to invade within the next 20 years. Director Hana's voice was heavy. When they do, millions will die, possibly billions. Yuna absorbed this information silently. We have searched for ways to tip the balance back in our favor, the director continued. New technologies, new alliances, new strategies. Nothing has worked. The Dominion is simply too large, too powerful, too determined. The hologram flickered again. Earth appeared in the display, a small blue marble floating in the darkness of space. And then we received reports about an Earthborn who stopped a Dracon blade with 2 fingers. Director Hana looked directly at Yuna. Your species may be the answer we have been searching for. Beings who are immune to conditions that would kill our best soldiers. Beings who possess strength and endurance beyond anything we have encountered. Beings who consider a death world their natural habitat. She paused. Beings who could turn the tide of a war. The implications of this statement made Yuna's blood run cold. I did not come here to fight in your war, she said carefully. I understand, and I am not asking you to fight. Not yet. Director Hana's expression softened slightly. I am asking you to help us understand, to let our scientists study you, to answer questions about your species, to help us learn what the Earthborn are truly capable of. And in return? In return, I will personally ensure that you receive fair treatment on this station. You will have protection. You will have opportunities. You will have a place in the coalition, regardless of what others think of your species. Yuna considered this offer. She thought about the weeks of rejection. The doors closed in her face. The assumption that she was worthless simply because she came from an unknown world. And she thought about what might happen if she said no, if she walked away from this, if she tried to disappear back into the crowds and live a quiet life. They would not let her. Now that they knew what she could do, what her species could do, they would never let her be ordinary again. Can I have time to think? She asked. Director Hana nodded. You have until tomorrow morning. Come to security headquarters at sunrise. Give the guards your name. They will bring you to me. The hologram began to fade. One more thing, Yuna. Yes? The footage of what you did here will spread across the galaxy within hours. By tomorrow, everyone will know about the Earthborn. Everyone will know about you. Director Hana's eyes held something that might have been sympathy. Your quiet life is already over. I am sorry. The hologram vanished. Yuna stood alone in the middle of the food hall, surrounded by a crowd that watched her with new eyes. She was no longer just a farmer from a small village. She was the face of humanity, and the galaxy was watching. Taiho appeared at her side. His large eyes were full of concern. What will you do? Yuna looked at her hands. The same hands that had worked the soil of her family's farm, the same hands that had planted seeds and pulled weeds and harvested crops, the same hands that had just shattered a 3,000-year-old blade. I do not know yet, she admitted, but whatever I decide, I need to decide for all of us. For every Earthborn who will come after me. Taiho nodded slowly. That is a heavy burden. Yes. Yuna lowered her hands. But we are Earthborn. We are used to heavy burdens. She turned and walked out of the food hall, leaving the whispers and stares behind her. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new questions, new decisions that would affect not just her life, but the lives of billions on her home planet. But tonight, she needed to think, and she needed to remember who she was before the galaxy tried to turn her into something else. Yuna did not sleep that night. She sat by the small window in her rented room, looking out at the endless maze of pipes and machinery. The station never went dark. Lights blinked and hummed at all hours. Ships came and went in the distance, their engines leaving trails of blue fire across the artificial sky. She thought about everything that had happened. She thought about her village back on Earth, the rice fields that turned golden in autumn, the small shrine where her parents were buried, the quiet mornings when fog rose from the ground like ghosts. She thought about the journey that had brought her here, the cramped ships, the strange foods, the languages she did not understand, all because she wanted something more than a dying farm on a dying world. She thought about Borak and his blade, about Director Hana and her war, about the millions of beings across the galaxy who were now learning about Earth, about humanity, about what they could do. What would happen next? Would the Coalition use her people as weapons? Would the Dominion see them as threats to be destroyed? Would humans across the galaxy be hunted, feared, or worshipped? She did not have answers. She was just a farmer. She had never wanted to change the galaxy. She had only wanted to find a place where she belonged. But sometimes life does not give you what you want. Sometimes it gives you what you need. When the artificial sunrise began painting the station in shades of gold and pink, Yuna stood up. She washed her face with cold water. She put on her cleanest clothes. And she walked out of her small room for what might be the last time. The streets were already busy. News of yesterday's events had spread faster than fire. Everywhere Yuna walked, people stopped to stare. Some pointed, some whispered. Some pulled out recording devices to capture her image. She ignored them all. Security headquarters was a massive building near the center of the hub. Its walls were made of some material that seemed to absorb light, making it look like a shadow given solid form. Armed guards stood at every entrance, their weapons ready, their eyes alert. Yuna approached the main gate. "Name?" the guard asked. He was tall and thin, with gray skin and no visible eyes. "Yuna, Director Hana is expecting me." The guard consulted something on his wrist. Then he nodded and stepped aside. "Third floor, room 7. Yuna entered the building. The inside was surprisingly warm after the cold exterior. The floors were covered in soft material that silenced her footsteps. The walls displayed artwork from 100 different worlds. Everything was designed to calm visitors, to make them feel safe and welcome. Yuna was not fooled. This was still a place of power, a place where decisions were made that affected billions of lives. She found room 7 without difficulty. The door opened automatically as she approached. Director Hana was waiting inside. The room was simple. A desk, 2 chairs, a window that looked out over the station. Nothing else. No decorations, no distractions. "Please sit," Director Hana said. Yuna sat in the chair across from the desk. "Did you sleep?" the director asked. "No. I did not expect you would." Director Hana folded her hands on the desk. "Have you made your decision?" Yuna took a deep breath. "I will help you. I will answer your questions. I will let your scientists study me." Relief flickered across the director's face. "Thank you. This will..." "But I have conditions." The relief faded into careful attention. "Go on." "First, I am not a weapon. I will not fight in your war unless I choose to, and I will never ask other Earthborn to fight unless they choose to as well. We are people, not tools." Director Hana nodded slowly. "Agreed." "Second, Earth must be protected. If the Dominion learns about us and decides we are a threat, they might try to destroy our planet. I need your promise that the Coalition will defend Earth if that happens." "That is a large commitment." "Yes, but if you want our help, you must earn it." Director Hana considered this for a long moment. Then she nodded again. "I will bring this to the Council. I believe they will agree." "Third," Yuna continued, "I want to help other Earthborn who come to the hub. Many will arrive after me, confused and lost like I was. They deserve better than rejection and fear. I want to create a place for them, a welcome center, somewhere they can learn about the galaxy and find their place in it." A welcome center for Earthborn. Director Hana almost smiled. That is a good idea. I will make sure it happens. Yuna relaxed slightly. Then we have an agreement. They talked for another hour about details and plans and possibilities. When they were finished, Director Hana walked Yuna to the door. You are not what I expected, the director admitted. What did you expect? Someone harder, someone angry, someone eager to use their power. Director Hana looked at her with something like respect. Instead, I found a farmer who wants to help her people and protect her home. The galaxy could use more leaders like you. I am not a leader. Not yet. Director Hana opened the door. But give it time. Yuna stepped out of security headquarters into the morning light. The artificial sun was fully up now, casting long shadows across the station's metal streets. Taiho was waiting outside. His blue face brightened when he saw her. You are all right, he said with obvious relief. I was worried. The rumors said they might arrest you. Just questions, and an agreement. An agreement. Taiho fell into step beside her as she walked. What kind of agreement? Yuna smiled slightly. The kind that will change things. For me. For the coalition. For everyone. They walked in silence for a while. Around them, the station hummed with life. Ships launched and landed. Traders called out their goods. 1,000 species went about their daily business, unaware that the galaxy they knew was about to become very different. What will you do now? Taiho asked. Build something, Yuna replied. A place for Earthborn to gather, to learn, to prepare for whatever comes next. Can I help? Yuna looked at him. This villain who had defended her when no one else would, who had stayed by her side through everything, who asked nothing in return except the chance to be useful. Yes, she said. I would like that. They reached a viewing platform at the edge of the district. From here, they could see the whole station spread out below them. Millions of beings living and working together. A tiny piece of the vast galaxy that surrounded them. The universe underestimated your kind, Taiho said quietly. Yuna nodded. They always do. She thought about Earth, about the billions of people living there, going about their lives, unaware that the galaxy was now watching them, unaware that their world, their harsh and beautiful world, had made them into something extraordinary. Soon others would leave Earth and travel to the stars. They would face the same challenges she had faced, the same rejection, the same assumptions. But they would also have something she did not have when she arrived. They would have hope, and they would have each other. Far below, the registration system updated its classification for Earth one final time. Planet Sol 3, local name Earth, status, restricted, do not engage, approach with extreme caution, native species designation Earthborn, threat level, maximum. Somewhere among the stars, humanity had announced its presence, not with armies or weapons, not with threats or demands, but with a simple farmer who caught a blade between two fingers and asked only for a chance. The galaxy would never look at them the same way again, and that was exactly how it should be. Yuna turned away from the viewing platform and walked back into the bustling station. There was work to do, a future to build, a place among the stars to claim. She was ready. She had always been ready. She was Earthborn, and this was only the beginning.